There is a silent war being fought right now, and the battlefield is your mind. Most men walk through life thinking they are the drivers of their own destiny. They believe their choices are their own. They believe their thoughts are their own. But if we peel back the layers of the modern male psyche, we find a disturbing truth. There is a parasite in the operating system. It is a program that runs quietly in the background, consuming your energy, distorting your reality, and keeping you in a state of perpetual weakness. This program is the sexualized brain. Today, we are going to deconstruct this mechanism with surgical precision. We are going to explore why your biology is currently working against you, how modern society has weaponized your instincts, and how to execute the only maneuver that can set you free. We call this maneuver cerebral desexualization. This is not just advice. This is the cheat code to reclaiming your sovereignty as a man. To understand the solution, we must first understand the trap. Why do you feel the way you do? Why does a simple image on a screen, or a woman walking down the street, hijack your focus so completely? We need to go back to the beginning. For millions of years, the primary directive of the male brain was simple: survive and reproduce. Nature designed you to be a scanning machine. Your ancestors survived because they were hyper-vigilant to two things: danger and mating opportunities. In the harsh environment of the Stone Age, this was a feature, not a bug. Seeing a potential mate triggered a massive release of dopamine and testosterone, driving the male to pursue, to conquer, to impress. It was the fuel for action. But here is the problem. Your hardware is ancient, but your software is operating in a digital world. Evolution takes thousands of years to update. Technology takes days. You are walking around with a Stone Age brain in a digital environment. In the past, a man might see a handful of attractive women in his entire lifetime. Today, you can see more attractive women in 5 minutes of scrolling through Instagram than your ancestors saw in 500 years. This creates a phenomenon known as supernormal stimuli. Your brain does not know the difference between pixels and reality. It does not know the difference between a woman who is genuinely available and a stranger on the street. It simply reacts. It floods your system with neurochemicals designed for pursuit. But because there is no actual pursuit, and no actual reward, this energy turns into anxiety. It turns into frustration. It turns into a desperate, low-level buzz that drains your mental battery. You are like a high-performance computer that has 1,000 tabs open in the background. You are running hot, your fans are spinning, but you aren't getting any work done. If biology is the trap, then society is the hunter. We are living in the attention economy. The most valuable resource in the 21st century is not oil. And it is not gold. It is your attention. And for men, the easiest way to harvest that attention is through sexual desire. Look around you. Marketing, entertainment, social media, they are all built on the foundation of keeping your brain in a sexualized state. They know that if they can trigger that biological itch, they own you. When you are in a state of constant sexualization, you are easily manipulated. You buy things you don't need to impress people who don't care. You spend hours watching content that gives you nothing in return. You validate women online who view you as nothing more than a statistic. This creates a dynamic of simping. What is a simp, really? It is a man who has surrendered his economic and mental resources in exchange for the mere illusion of sexual access. This is the ultimate loss of status. In the hierarchy of life, the prize does not pay for attention. The prize commands attention. By allowing your brain to remain sexualized, you are signaling to the world, and more importantly, to your own subconscious, that you are at the bottom of the food chain. You are the beggar, not the king. The most dangerous consequence of the sexualized brain is not just wasted time. It is the complete distortion of reality. Psychologists call this the halo effect. But for our purposes, we will call it the blinding light. When you view a woman through the lens of sexual desire, you are not seeing her. You are seeing a projection of your own needs. Your brain, desperate to justify its attraction, begins to fill in the blanks. You see a beautiful face, and your mind automatically assumes she is kind. You assume she is intelligent. You assume she is interesting. You assume she has high moral character. You place her on a pedestal. This is why so many men suffer in relationships. They fall in love with a fantasy, not a human being. They tolerate disrespect, they ignore red flags, and they compromise their own values, all because they are intoxicated by the halo effect. You are entering negotiations, whether it is a date, a conversation, or a relationship, from a position of weakness. You are already sold, you are already convinced, and she knows it. Women are incredibly intuitive. They can sense the energy of a man who is hungry. It manifests in your micro-expressions. It shows in the way you hold eye contact for a second too long. It shows in the way your voice goes up at the end of a sentence. Seeking approval. This thirst is repulsive to a high-value woman. It signals that you have no options. It signals that you are easily conquered. And in the brutal logic of evolutionary psychology, that which is easily conquered is rarely valued. So, how do we break the chains? How do we update the software? The answer is cerebral desexualization. I want to be precise about what this means. This is not about becoming asexual. It is not about suppressing your masculinity. And it is certainly not about misogyny or hating women. Cerebral desexualization is a cognitive tool. It is the conscious act of overriding the objectification subroutine in your brain. It is the ability to look at an attractive woman and see her strictly as a human being. Not a goal, not a goddess, not a collection of body parts, but a person. This requires a shift in perspective that is almost Stoic in nature. The Stoic philosophers taught us to strip things naked, to see them for what they truly are. When you see a woman who triggers that biological response, you must actively engage your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain. You must tell yourself, this is just a person. She has fears. She has insecurities. She wakes up with messy hair. She has bad days. She is biological matter, just like me. You strip away the glamour. You turn off the filter. When you successfully implement this protocol, the results are nothing short of a superpower. First, you reclaim your mental bandwidth. Imagine how much more productive you could be if you weren't constantly distracted by biological noise. All that energy that was being leaked into fantasy is now channeled into your purpose. You become laser-focused. You become a man on a mission. Second, you achieve emotional invincibility. When you don't want anything from a woman, when you aren't secretly hoping for sex or validation, you become fearless. You can speak your truth. You can hold your boundaries. You are no longer walking on eggshells, afraid of messing up your chances. Because you aren't trying to take any chances. You are just existing. And third, we arrive at the great paradox, the cheat code of attraction. When you stop treating women like prizes to be won, you become the prize. In a world full of thirsty, desperate men trying to perform for her attention, your indifference is like a shock to her system. It breaks the pattern. When you talk to a beautiful woman and you are completely grounded, completely unfazed by her beauty, she becomes curious. She wonders, why isn't he trying to impress me? Does he see something in himself that is more valuable than what he sees in me? This creates a vacuum, and nature abhors a vacuum. She will step forward to fill it. She will start to chase your validation. The dynamic flips. You are no longer the hunter. You are the mountain. Unmoved, unshakable. How do you apply this in your daily life? Here is your tactical plan. Step 1. The awareness pause. You must cultivate metacognition. The ability to think about your thinking. Catch yourself in the moment. When you see an attractive woman and feel that pull, stop, acknowledge it, tell yourself, my biology is reacting. Do not judge it, just observe it, then, consciously choose to disengage. Step 2. The X-ray vision. When you interact with women, force your brain to focus on non-sexual attributes. Look at her eyes, but listen to her words. Critique her logic. Evaluate her character. Ask yourself, if she were a man, would I respect what she is saying right now? This question alone destroys the halo effect instantly. Step 3. Digital detox. You cannot desexualize your brain if you are constantly feeding it junk food. You must ruthlessly curate your digital environment. Unfollow the Instagram models. Stop watching content that triggers the dopamine loop. You are trying to reset your baseline sensitivity. If you are constantly overstimulated, you will never have control. Gentlemen, The path of cerebral desexualization is not easy. It goes against millions of years of evolution. It goes against the entire structure of modern society. But the reward is ownership of your soul. A man who cannot control his sexual impulse is a slave to anyone who can trigger it. But a man who has mastered this aspect of his mind is dangerous. He is focused, he is powerful, and he is free. Stop letting your biology dictate your reality. Stop giving your power away to strangers. Take your brain off autopilot. Grab the steering wheel and drive towards your purpose, with clear eyes and a sober mind. This is the cheat code. Now, use it.